Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to present this amendment. This amendment will not kill the bill nor send it back to committee. But it is an amendment that's important to every representative in this House. If you care about the 10th Amendment and you care about the ability of your state to set its own policies,
House will be in order.
Mr. Speaker, every member in this House should be paying attention to this bill. We read the Constitution the first day of this Congress. The 10th Amendment guarantees that the states have the ability to take care of their own water systems and many other issues that pertain to the states. This bill overrides state law in California. This bill sets aside numerous state laws in California. This bill overrides 150 years of California water law set in place by the legislature, the governors, and by the courts of California and the federal courts. This bill destroys the ability of California to conduct and to manage its own water. I put this map up of California so that you might contemplate for a few moments the impact and exactly what we're talking about. California is a big state, 38 million people, diverse, extraordinary water fights. There was a fellow that lived in California years ago, Mark Twain, and he said in California, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. And it's been true ever since. This is the Central Valley of California. The largest estuary on the west coast of the Western Hemisphere is where the Sacramento River and the San Joaquin River join together in an inland estuary, one of the few in the world, and also San Francisco Bay. This bill will lead to the destruction of the largest estuary on the west coast of the Western Hemisphere, and it does so by overriding California law and the California Constitution. The California Constitution holds the water of the state of California in trust. In trust. The state of California, the government is responsible for the care of that water so that it can be appropriately distributed, not only for the beneficial use of consumptive users, cities and farmers, but also for the environment. This bill takes away the laws of the state of California that would provide for the protection of the environment. The California CEQA, Environmental Quality Act, the Air Quality Acts, the Endangered Species Act of the state of California are overridden by this bill. And by the way, the federal laws also. It takes us back to 1994, at a period of time when we didn't know the science. We didn't understand what the full impact of water diversions and other contaminants and other species would be in the Delta. Since 1994, we have seen the collapse of the Delta fisheries. We have seen thousands upon thousands of fishermen, both commercial and recreational, unable to fish. The loss of much talk in this House about a man-made drought. That's baloney. It was a real drought. And yes, there were environmental considerations that further reduced water. That water was reduced under contracts that called for shortages in the case of drought. So what are we talking about here with this bill? We're talking about the usurpation of power by the federal government, taking the basic ability of the state of California to regulate its water, to deal with its environmental issues, and causing this House, this federal government, to have that power. Think closely, all of you who have a reclamation project in your district, and there's some 18 states, ranging from the Pacific to the Mississippi. You have reclamation projects. Think deeply. Think about what happens when the federal government goes to California, the biggest state, and says, we don't care what your laws are. We're going to tell you what to do. Think what that might mean to you in the future. when somebody in your state has the power to put before this House a law that runs over the top of your state laws. If you care about the 10th Amendment, if you care about states' rights, you'd better be voting no, because this is a precedent that you don't want to ever see in your state, and we don't want to see it in California. Think deeply, Senators. Think deeply, members of this House. Think deeply about what's at stake here. I ask for this motion to pass.